Back in 2015, the Ice Bucket Challenge took over the internet. People dumping cold water on themselves to raise money for ALS research. Now that money has helped fund studies for a newly approved drug called Relaprio. This week, in a somewhat controversial move, the FDA has approved that drug to hopefully slow the progress of ALS. Many people know this as Lou Gehrig's disease.
And 9 News medical expert Dr. Payal Kohli joins us now to talk about this drug's approval. First, let's remind people ALS. What is ALS and what kind of impact can it have on somebody's life?
A very challenging disease, as you know. I mean, it's a disease that attacks the motor neurons. The motor neurons are the nerves that help us move our arms and legs, help us breathe. So as people get this disease, they essentially become paralyzed over time. They stop being able to swallow, stop being able to talk. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of treatments. We don't really have a cure for it. And most people, about 90% or so, pass away within 5 years of diagnosis.
So a very short-term illness, really. The FDA did not initially approve this drug, and we say this is a controversial approval where it did come to. Can you tell us a little about what Relaprio does, the limitations here, and how that weighed into this vote?
Yeah, so Relaprio is a drug that prevents death of those motor neurons. So it essentially tries to reverse the process, the pathological process that's occurring in ALS. And the reason the FDA said, hey, we're not quite ready to approve this drug is because it was a phase 2 trial. Phase 2 trials are not designed to lead to drug approval. They're supposed to be proof of principle trials. And this particular trial was designed just to look at how it improves somebody's function, not survival. So as you can imagine, it's really a challenge to study patients with ALS because many of them die while you're studying them. So that's exactly what happened in this trial, and that's why they weren't quite sure if the data they were seeing were clean, and they actually could count on the fact that the drug was working.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about why that is? The FDA moved pretty quickly on this, and how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of external pressure, of course, from many of the external societies as such to get this approved, because when you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and in this case, the rock is leaving ALS untreated while we collect data and get the phase 3 trial, which won't finish till 2024, and the hard place is approving a drug based on sort of incomplete information. So, I mean, I think it's the right move for today, but I do have some mixed feelings about the cost of the drug.
Yeah.
What do we know about that?
$12,500 a month.
A month.
A month.
$12,000 a month.
How can people afford that?
So they're trying to get insurance coverage for it. But to me, this also sets a little bit of a dangerous precedent where we start opening the door for drug approvals based on phase 2 studies and not the larger phase 3 studies. But again, in a disease that we don't have much options for, if you have a loved one with that disease, as long as you're not doing harm, which the phase 2 study showed us, then it's a really tough decision.
I would imagine it is. And it wasn't a unanimous decision
by
the FDA panel.
It wasn't. So there were a couple of experts that actually voted against the drug, and that kind of shows where we stand. Now, the company has made a promise that when the phase 3 trial, which finishes in 2024, we get more definitive data. If that comes out, showing not a lot of significant benefit, they will pull the drug from the market.
Yeah.
And we want to finish by mentioning, this all started this conversation today with, remember the Ice Bucket Challenge. So the money that was raised from that helped fund the studies that we've got to this point. So, hey, your money went somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Yeah. What do you think? I mean, that's one way to raise money.
Now people who are in a dire situation trying to take care of a loved one are going to have to pay all of this money to use that drug.
Yeah, so I think the company, and we were talking about this a minute ago, should have made it free. If the data is not definitive, it should be free. But the Ice Bucket Challenge, guys, I think we might be onto something here because it's a really great way of crowdsourcing and funding research. My only thing is we need to regulate how that money is, allocated, what it goes towards, so that people that are, participating and really putting their heart into it, that the money goes to the right places, not to the drug companies' pockets.
Dr. Kohli, it's always great having you here.
Thank you.
Yeah.